Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today, I have a very special guest, my real good friend, Wendy. And we are going to talk about the state of the country right now because of how crazy things are getting. We'll dive into some pretty heavy topics. And just off the bat, I know that me and Wendy are both more classically liberal constitutionalists when we really get down to it. So that's kind of the angle that we're both coming from. And that's, let's go. So Wendy, how are you?
Good, how are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing good, yes. Thanks for coming on. Obviously we did this a couple weeks ago and it crashed. So now we're doing a Zoom recording, so it should work pretty well this time. And she'll just stay on if either one of us crash. We'll just stay on and try to hop back on as quick as possible. Now, getting into it, I think the first thing we're going to want to talk about is police brutality and everything that goes along with that. So first off, just your thoughts about what's going on.
So in terms of police brutality, I would say obviously that is something that we need to address. I think that's something we all can agree on. George Floyd was definitely the catalyst for that. We saw the video, we knew what happened. We were all screaming at the screen, like, get off his neck. How come you're not getting off his neck? Anyone who's human watching that could be like, this is unacceptable.
Yeah.
And, but I'm for the kind of reform that is from within the system. I am not for the revolution, destroy everything and start from scratch type of revolution. That's ridiculous to me. Maybe because it's my Catholic background, and it's like you always go back to the authority of the system and try to fix it from within. And I think I heard it was like the either the conservative or libertarian standpoint, where it's like, if you see something that, like, if you see a fence or something, if a liberal sees a fence, they say tear it down because it shouldn't be there. If a conservative or a libertarian sees a fence, they say, why is it there? Who put it there in the first place? Why did they put it there? Let's see if we, really need it there. And if we don't, do we have something better to replace it? Like, it's all about working within the system that you already have. If you haven't built anything yet, how are you demanding we defund the police because of one instance or a few more instances that we have of police brutality? And doing that thing where you take a few bad apples and apply it to everything, but we're not allowed to do that to, like, everybody. Like, if we can't do that to everybody as a race or everybody as a group of people, why would we do that to police, especially the police that we need to keep us safe? Like, it's
I definitely think that the defund police movement, or it's at least the wrong wording from what they say, is, it's problematic because you complain about crime and everything like that, but then it goes up. And then even look what was happening, look what was happening in that CHOP or Chaz or whatever they were talking about.
Yep.
There was people getting killed in there left and right from gun violence.
Every night there was a shootout. There was a child that was killed there. And in New York too, when they were like, we're defunding de Blasio, defunding the police, shootings went up so much that now prominent people, I think I saw a news article that was like, prominent people in the Black community are now asking for the crime unit to come back. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You're begging them to come back now. Where were you before when they were asking them to get removed? You should have thought about that. Have some forethought. It looks like right now it's just emotional children making demands, and because they're throwing out the race card, everybody else is too afraid to say anything. It's like, no, we're going to make the adult decisions here. We're not going to do this. This doesn't make any sense. And we're not going to defund our entire police force because you mad. Like, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, and that's there. There is some issues with police brutality and everything like that going on.
Yeah,
but it's not always. I don't think it's completely a race issue, and we can. I got the stats and everything down, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I also think that I mean, like you said, in the system, the policies that we have to reform that. We have
Yes.
to, the biggest issue with police brutality is qualified immunity. And this is something that libertarians are pushing on both sides of the house. It seems like the libertarians are actually the ones that are doing the stuff to actually change things because, I mean, qualified immunity basically allows a
Yeah, what is qualified? I've never heard of that. So
so
and if I don't know
yeah.
anything, I have no problem saying I don't know. And please
Yeah.
educate me. I've never even heard of that. So like, what is that? I've
So
never heard of that.
so qualified immunity is a type of immunity that basically government officials, including police officers, get. So, like for a police officer, because their job is to go into tough situations,
Yeah.
they have a more lenient set of rules while they're in uniform.
Oh.
And so, what happens is with qualified immunity, it says if you have not specifically, if your department or the law does not specifically say police officers can't do this, then it really doesn't matter what happens. And a lot of times that goes into other
Oh.
than what a reasonable person would assume, right? So that's why so many
Yeah.
police officers have gotten off because of qualified immunity when they've done, they've committed what normal people would consider a crime. So,
Oh.
like if it
What?
says,
Oh, go ahead.
if it doesn't specifically say that you can't use a chokehold and somebody dies when you use a chokehold on them, that's qualified immunity. That's not murder.
Oh, okay.
That's why that's like the air, yeah,
Oh,
like those, like the, I can't breathe stuff. And
yeah.
so if it doesn't specifically say that, that's what's going to be rough in the George Floyd case as well. We have to see what qualified immunity. I think that one's pretty clear
Mm.
cut because it's not something that a reasonable person would have done is sit on his neck for 9 minutes even after he passed out. So that's where we get into some of the issues. And really it's kind of crazy too because our soldiers can't get away with this stuff overseas with terrorists. Like,
Well, I feel like they kind of do. I mean, who's really watching over there? I mean,
well,
I feel like they kind of get away with some sketchy stuff.
well, you always
mean,
see
I'm
this.
for the troops. I'm still for the troops. But I'm still for the troops. But I still will say there's some sketchy stuff happening there too.
Well,
I
I
believe
mean,
it.
I served 7.5 years in the Army as a logistics officer and had a deployment to Afghanistan.
Yes.
Now, you always see stories coming out about a soldier, in trouble for assaulting somebody who's already like that Green Beret got a charge for assaulting a prisoner because his hands were tied his back, and he came out, and the prisoner basically told his hires that he was abused when he was there, and so.
Oh yeah, I think I read that story.
Yeah.
It was a black guy, right? Like a black Green Beret.
I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
that I do know that was, and like the rules of engagement over there are stricter than they are here. So, like when we go to technically, if you're shooting at somebody, if somebody's shooting at you and you're shooting back at them, as soon as they drop their weapon and they have no weapon, you can't kill them. You have to try to detain them.
Oh yeah, I feel like that's true, and I think that's why, and I agree with that's why we need some kind of reform. Like
Yep.
when they came out with the body cameras, I was like, that's gold. Even cops were like, we want the body cameras because nobody believes us when we tell them the situations we're in. So the body cameras was a good example of within the system change,
Especially with cell phones.
Yes, and I'm all for having people videotape as well, like videotape the cops and take your phones out, record. I'm for that. I don't know why the police should be against that. I'm 100% for that.
No, absolutely.
I would say there's areas of opportunity, especially according to what you just said when it comes to like force. Maybe the police need more training on like Krav Maga, like bridled power, like how to have all this force but stop it, because it's a very emotional job. It's a very, very emotional, because think about it I feel like you would probably be able to relate. Did you see action? You were deployed when you were deployed. Did you see action like shooting at you?
No, we didn't receive any contact on any of our missions.
Okay.
It was also 2013, so that we didn't, like, we were closing stuff down when I was there. I mean, we had rockets and stuff like that, and we had rocket attacks, but no I wasn't in small arms fire ever.
So, right. Well, then stuff like that is what needs to be taken into consideration, because there's a lot of people who maybe cops here would have more experience in like close combat on like fights and fires and stabbings than somebody who got, like you said, you went deployed and you didn't see much action. They could see more than somebody who goes overseas and haven't, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there
Oh,
needs,
yeah.
and almost like on a weekly basis, especially if you're stationed in a predominantly bad neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
Like people getting stabbed, people getting killed, people everyday rapes, like that'll do something to you psychologically as well.
Oh, yeah.
Think of it as like, you see a video, I think I saw a video of a man that was like a cop that was chasing, had all his gear on him, had to chase down a teenager, right? Jump fences. And the teenager had just killed and stabbed somebody. And then they're like throwing paraphernalia out of their pockets. And these cops are like, you're putting me through all this trouble. When I get my hands on you, I get my hands on you. Now, I'm not saying that's right. Of course, I'm not saying that's right at all. But there's a different aspect about police brutality that people thinking that, no, it's just police brutality and it needs to stop and they're bad people for doing it. There's a lot, then it goes deeper, like psychologically.
Oh,
What does that person have to go through to get that person? Or like talking to someone for 30 minutes and telling them to get out of the car and they're getting cussed at. Like I have these videos of people going ham on police. Like, you don't ask and tell me what to do. F you, I get you fired, all this stuff. And it's like, you're work 18-hour shift, you're tired, you have a family to get home to, and you have to now put up with this crap. Like I don't condone it, but I can easily see them be like, dude, just one swing and just knock you out, just so I can have peace of mind and go back to my day. I'm not saying it's right. Of course, I'm not saying it's right, but I can see how that takes, so there's a lot more that goes into it that people need to realize that there needs to be some kind of pressure training and more situational trainings that have to go into that as well.
Yeah, I mean, the stress in that as well. They need to be doing more mental training, like you said. So honestly, everybody, the police department should have like a therapist on site for like everybody.
Yes.
To talk about what they're going. Oh, exactly, for free. Like on staff. On staff.
On staff. Paid for by taxpayers. I don't mind it. And more community outreach, like more community barbecues with the cops there, and like, we're not going to tolerate certain things. Listen, I'm buddy. I'll play basketball with you now, even in uniform, and we'll do our TikTok videos together. But I'm not going to have so Tyrone or whatever come out here and start shooting when we're at a park. There's kids here. I can't have it. It'll piss me off. And I may bring a little bit too much testosterone to your 13-year-old butt, but why are you shooting up a park? You know what I mean? Like, there needs to be that like constant communication with and the police could do a good job of this too, using the little kids as little snitches. If I was a cop, I'd be like, you can use your resources. Like,
there's actually
throw them $20 here and there. Like, who's down that corner next weekend? And then, you know what I mean? Like, and have the kids involved in policing, like, we're keeping your community safe and driving by and, hey, what's up? You guys got something to eat? You're playing games? All right, let me know if you need anything. You know what I mean? Like, know their names. Know their names.
And that's exactly what, that is community policing right there. There's actually a pretty decent documentary on Netflix, I think it is. It's called Flint Town, and it's about the police, Flint police department. And they show them doing a lot of that type of policing and everything like that. It's pretty good. Obviously Flint will come up a little bit more because that's where I'm from. Well, not from Flint. I'm from a small town outside of Flint, but I know a lot of different stuff that's going, that area more than anything. And it's also one of the biggest crime-ridden areas in the country. So. Oh,
it's sad. Kids there too.
Oh yeah.
Like for me, I have a zero tolerance policy. Like, honestly, can I be real with you in like the couple hundred people that you have? Like, I'm real. Like, when it comes to kids, because you're seeing kids getting shot, a 13-year-old getting shot in the neck because she's watching TV, and like a 10-year-old, I think yesterday, a 1-year-old got shot at a cookout. I have a zero tolerance policy. Listen, and I know it's like, we're supposed to fight police brutality. I'm
Yeah.
personally, like, if police found who that was that shot that kid, like, I'm not marching. I'm not marching for police brutality. I'm not.
No.
I'm not doing it.
No.
I'm being honest with you. I'm not doing it. And
Yeah,
this
I
is just
know.
speaking for me. It's not speaking for the Subin.
Yeah, you're not speaking. Again,
I'm not marching. If they caught you, you shot a kid in the neck, and because and the police caught you and they smacked you. I'm not marching. I'm drinking cocktails and doing a face mask and going to bed. Like,
yeah. And see, it's getting bad because, like, even, I mean, I live in Atlanta now, so it's like, and we had the Rashad Brooks stuff happen, and then, like, there's, you know, a lot of the police started walking off, so that shows you what happened there. And then there was the little girl that I think that's 13-year-old that you were talking about that was shot a couple weeks ago, and it was like chaos. Like, nobody was.
It was an 8-year-old. No, that was an 8-year-old girl. That was an 8-year-old girl that went there and passed an illegal blockade or something.
Oh,
and I'm like,
they were protesting in the parking lot. So they went to go pull into the parking lot and then had words, and then they started shooting into the vehicle.
Yeah, like and you killed a kid. Like, I don't. Yep. And if the cops find you and you're caught on camera getting stomped out by the police, I'm supposed to cry and get my sign out and Black Lives Matter. Listen. I'm speaking for myself. I don't want you to get in trouble for your show.
No. Speak your mind, girl.
I'm gonna be full responsibility. No, absolutely not. Absolutely, I will not be marching. I will not be crying. All my energy and prayers are gonna go to that little girl.
Yes.
Like, and her family. Like, and if the Black community had more of a zero tolerance policy for that, they would have policed their own, and it would have never gotten to the point of, like, we need a police to do it. Because if police do it, what it is, it's outside people coming into the community, and they can say, you're racism, you shouldn't be allowed to police us. But it's like, you're not going to police yourself, though.
Yeah.
So why don't you police yourself? And that way at the end of the day, we must check our own community. We must check our own communities. And they refuse to do it. So that's why I said, police, leave. Yeah, if you want to walk out and be like, you know what, I'm calling in sick for the next 300 days, do it. Because the disrespect that you're getting, and now they're begging, please come back, please come back. If you come back, you better have demands. Not one word. If I find so-and-so curb stopping, like, did you see a video on my Twitter? One guy, like, gave a flying kick to a kid. Kid was like 1-2 year old too. I think it was 2 years old.
I did see that.
Yes. And Black people were in my comments talking about why are you as a Black woman, why are you coming after the Black man? Why are you not defending? Why you not defending? I'm like, this is a dysfunction that we have in our specific community. And I will not stand for it anymore. I will not stand for it.
And that was crazy video. I was like, what?
Yeah. And I heard the woman was pregnant. The woman that
I heard the woman was pregnant. Because it was like 3 people beating her up, like 3 men, right? Yeah.
It was at least 3 women, and then the guy, after he was done kicking the toddler, realized his mistake, and then went up to then kick multiple times the pregnant woman on the ground that they were jumping. Like, I can't, like, this dysfunction. And cops have to deal with that, though. Cops are the ones called in and have to pull them apart and be like, enough, stop, what are you doing? And then they're gonna turn on the police, mind your business. And then so then what happens?
Yeah, I don't know.
So then he's like, you know what? That's it. Everybody's getting tased because I'm going home early. My shift ends in 30 minutes and I have to deal with y'all. Everybody's getting tased up and I'm going home. That's it. That's it. I'm not saying it's right. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's right. But, like, it's humans dealing with other humans.
Yes,
and it's
absolutely.
Like, we start taking responsibility for their actions. Cops need to start taking responsibility for their actions.
Everybody, absolutely. And then I don't think politicians on either side of the aisle are doing anything to help. Like the president's recent comments.
What do you say?
You haven't heard that? It was basically just taking the stats that, police violence affects white people more, which
Oh
in
yeah,
pure
which is true,
numbers,
but I was like, it's
in
probably not the
pure
right time to
numbers.
say it.
Oh, well, the way he
Probably not
said
the
it
right time
is
to say it.
true, but it's not
Yeah.
true. Like what he basically, I
Okay.
forget exactly what he said
Yeah, I
because
think it was like white people are
disproportionately,
dying more. White people are. He
it might have
super
been
vague.
something like that.
It's
It was,
always super
yeah,
general and super vague. Like white people are
yes.
dying more. White people are dying way more, way
Like
more.
it was like, I
Something like
mean,
that.
yeah. So that's like
Mhm.
I'll have all the stats right here. So the total population of the U.S. is 328 million.
Mhm.
76% of those are white, and 13.4% of those are black. And then I added
Mhm.
Hispanic in there just to see what the numbers were, and that's actually 19%. So they're 19%. So that's 249 million white people,
Oh,
44 million black people, and 62 million Hispanics. Now, shot by the police, in terms of overall percent, there was three in 2019. There's 370 white people that were shot. That's a total of 37%
okay.
of the total of everybody that was killed by police.
Okay.
And black people is 235.
See, that's what I'm saying. He does that
Well,
on he makes it super vague and super general so that
yeah.
generally he's
Oh yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And then it forces
Yeah.
people to be like,
But
well, let me
but
go in and
yeah, but it is. And
mhm.
then actually Hispanics it was 158, so 16% of the overall. Um, and this is where it
Ah,
really gets interesting. This is what we're actually talking about here. So when it comes to white people, it was 0.00149%
right.
of the overall amount of white people that were killed by police last year. Of all of the total number of black people, it was 0.00534. So that shows that it still affected black people disproportionately to the overall population sizes of the two communities. And what was
Mhm.
really interesting was Hispanics was 0.00255.
002. Oh.
Yeah. So, yep. So,
Mm.
yes, white people were lower than everybody disproportionately against population size. Yes, it affects black people actually quite a bit more when you look at it like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
it does. But then what happens is that people then start saying, well, we got to take into consideration, are they just going down it? Do we believe that cops are just going down in these neighborhoods and just shooting up black people just to shoot up black people? Is that what's happening?
no,
Because I don't believe that.
I don't think it is either. Now, there's
Other
also other
argument,
stats that people want to throw
yeah,
out
there's
there.
other arguments that's like it creates like black people are committing more crimes, which
Yeah.
again, it's a cultural thing. I tend to believe because the fatherless homes, so they don't have the discipline they're supposed to get there, learning how to control their emotions. They don't get that.
Yeah. Are you
So
get,
that's
can,
good.
can you see this?
I can see it. I
Okay.
can.
So yeah, so it's basically those are the amount of arrests, and then it
Mhm.
also has the ratio of amount of deaths while in police custody. So while in police custody, they're saying white people die more while in custody and have a higher arrest rate.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. Oh, okay.
it's
Oh, okay. I see it now. Yeah.
some people are trying to say
Gotcha.
that that is the the stat we should be looking at. I don't know about that. Um, shh.
Love
um,
it.
so I don't know if that's the right stat or this is, but I don't think it really makes much of a difference because I think it has to do with population condensed. I don't even know.
Yeah.
So
Condensity. Yeah.
yeah,
I think I know what you mean. Like
like,
population density.
yeah, and socioeconomics essentially.
Right.
So
Right. I like to do the socioeconomics. Why? I feel like we should look at all statistics because I agree
yeah,
with you. You're right. We should look at
yeah,
not just that, all statistics. I feel socioeconomics is something we should definitely look at and address because if you give people the means to, like, if people have jobs, they're not going to be out here looting and writing those jobs. They got to go to work. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? So I like to look at socioeconomic point of view. I like economic side.
Yeah.
So I guess it depends on what.
So
what
I think that's what people want to say. You know, the more impoverished areas are where mostly minorities congregate, and so they have more interactions with police at that point. So when you actually look per interaction, it's probably there's a lot less, and that's a lot less for Black people in terms of being killed, because white people have less interactions, so they have more deaths per interaction. If you looked at that stat as well. Again, I don't think that's the right stat to be showing. I think the overall is pretty good for doing that, but I think when we look at socioeconomics, we look at what are the policies, and I think there is systematic racism that happens, but it's not what people think it is. You know, it's mostly democratic policies that were put in during Jim Crow.
You better preach that preach. Preach that preach. Yes. You better preach that preach. It's true.
I mean, so
it's true.
So the number one thing is, like we talked about before, is the public school system with teachers unions and no voucher systems. No.
Yes, like more charter schools, more vouchers. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think because what happens is with a union, why unions make a difference is because you can't really fire those teachers. So a lot of times they just they put them in the inner city schools. So a bad teacher, so the classrooms are worse because your best teachers are not going into those areas. And then you really look at just both sides of the aisle. Like the war on drugs and being a libertarian, you know, the war on drugs is a big thing.
Anytime there's a war on something, it increases. Like, let's have a war on peace and common sense then, because I don't understand.
Because now, and even Nixon said it was to, you know, limit the, you know, basically enhance Jim Crow. I don't know exactly the stat it was. I actually just read something.
Oh, he said that? It was to like...
it had something to do with race when he said it was to control, I don't remember exactly what it was.
But again, here's the thing. Like, have you ever heard of COINTELPRO? No. Okay, COINTELPRO, like INTEL Pro, PRO. Do some research on that. The Black community keeps bringing that up, like COINTELPRO, the CIA. Basically, it's basically the agenda that the CIA or FBI, one of the three letters agencies, pumped out crack cocaine into the Black community to basically keep them down, to keep them down, to keep them, you know, like cracked out. You know what I mean? Yeah. So then I'm like, if that's the case, and I believe, because here's the thing, I can believe two things can be true at the same time: that the government did this, and that it still shouldn't have been the thing that we can stand on and say, this is why our community is in the state it's in. Because unless you can show me the government holding down Black people and pumping their stomach full of crack cocaine, the responsibility still lies on the Black community to say, like, you know, if the CIA undercover, hey, you want some crack cocaine? Nah, I'm good, thank you. Goodbye, get away from me. Go away. Like, the power still lies with us in the Black community. And that's what and every time I mention that, it's like, to them, it feels like I'm negating their struggles or something. And I'm not negating the struggles. I'm agreeing with you that the government, especially like leftists and Democrat, like you said, the terrible Democrat Jim Crow policies are out here to get us. So if they're out here to get us, don't take the bait. Don't fall into the trap. Why is that so hard to understand?
And those policies were put into place, and then they, you know, I mean, the Democrats were the party of the KKK, and then they never changed. They went underground. You know, I mean,
Yep.
like, it's kind of funny that it's Joe Biden who's preaching that vote when he wrote the bill on criminal justice. And then President Trump did criminal justice reform this year. It's still not enough. I don't think he went nearly far enough, because what it is, like, back to, I mean, there's how many people in jail, like you were talking about, is how many people were in jail for simple marijuana charges from the Black community. It's more because, again, they congregate more, so they, kids get friends and everything like that. And then along with bad school systems, they're not teaching as much. So kids are dropping out of school and, going into the lucrative drug business, where it affects that community a whole lot more. And on top of that, it's hard to get those policies changed, because both parties are benefiting from the for-profit prison systems.
Exactly. I will say this though, I do agree with what some of the points of the Black community when they when they say that like you were talking about, like they were put in jail for crimes like marijuana, and now that it's legal, do you think they should be released from jail? I think I may have changed my mind on this, because I used to think no, they shouldn't, because the law was the law at the time. But I think in this case, I mean, assuming that they're not like, it's just strictly marijuana, like they're not like marijuana and then I like stabbed 7 babies, like no, they're just saying. But like if it's just like selling marijuana, then like let them out. I would be for that. If they can prove that they're not going to be going back to their other criminality.
Well, that's part of the problem too. Well, that's kind of part of the problem as well, because then I mean, our for-profit systems are not for reform. I mean, it's supposed to be to reform the people and not necessarily punish people, but they're not. I mean, so basically they let them out so they can go back and do it again, and then.
But is it for reform though? I think it depends on what the crime is, because if the crime is like you're in there because you're like a drug addict or you're selling drugs or you're whatever, but if you're like somebody who like committed a serious crime.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, so
I'm not trying to get you reformed and you stay in prison.
Oh, no, so yeah, like
that's me. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But.
No, you're right. So violent criminals is more to keep the public safe from that person. It's not necessarily punishment, it's to keep public safe, right? So if it's a murderer, obviously you're not going to have them on the streets. And that's the whole you also hear the prison pipeline system, right? Because that's what it is.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Because it's a multiplier effect when it comes to kid goes to juvie for having marijuana, and then he meets all these friends in there who are gangbangers, and then he goes out and he starts hanging out with them on the outside, and then it's a perpetual cycle.
It's a perpetual cycle.
And so, like you were talking about before, though, that's cleaning up your own. It comes with cleaning up some of your own community as well. But some of these, I mean, I'm not for any law that is, there's no, victimless crime should all be ended, and that's the libertarian standpoint too. So. I'm for Yeah, Joe is.
For the victimless crimes should be. But then it's like, what constitutes as a victimless crime? Because you stole somebody's thing, but it's not a victim, so they're not dead. It's like, well, I'm still a victim.
But there is a victim.
My laptop. Laptop.
There is a victim. I mean, victimless crimes are like drug use and stuff like that, because there's no victim. Even like. It's not a crime, but like exactly, and that's what victimless crime is about.
Keep your opium dens clean and criminal activity free. But if they want to do crime, as long as they're not then on the streets, tweaking out and stabbing people because they think it's a ginormous spider coming at them, but it really was a target. Then it becomes a situation.
Well, that's what it is. Yeah, I mean, there's a responsibility you have, right? And like if you do something like that, then you should be held accountable. And it's not the drug's fault; it's your fault.
Your fault, right? And even the whole thing, like it's the same thing with prostitution. Like people want, as long as because again, if you're grown adult and you're untrafficked, there's no sketchiness involved, everyone's tested, you're letting people know what they have and everything's safe. And I mean, again, does that mean I'm going to join a brothel? No.
No.
But that's because I'm for personal responsibility to the adults. But in every state choosing, I'm all for state responsibility, state
that's
power,
the other thing is,
but
well, states could choose to eliminate, actually all of them. I mean, states could choose to eliminate drugs. They could choose to eliminate prostitution, everything, because that falls under the 10th Amendment, because there hasn't been a ratification of the Constitution to make drugs illegal. That's why I like Jeff Sessions when he was looking at going after California and stuff like that for for being legal marijuana. It was unconstitutional because that's a states' right issue, because the Constitution has never been ratified. When prohibition on alcohol happened, they had to rewrite the Constitution. You know, they amended the Constitution twice, one to put it in, one to put it out. 21st Amendment. 21st Amendment is what got rid of it.
Okay. Prohibition like just increased organized crime, I think, right? Didn't it just increase organized crime and
exactly? And
everything extra
it
sketchy?
did.
Like,
well, that's what, and it's no different with the war on drugs. I mean, that's the same thing that would happen with guns if we eliminate the Second Amendment. That's the same thing that would happen with everything. You know, is it goes underground, it goes into the black market, and then it ends up hurting people, because even prescription drugs, for example, like pain medicines. Are you still there? Okay.
I was listening.
No, you froze, so I thought you were gone.
No, I'm just being super still, babe. Just super still. I'm Mona Lisa out here.
No, so like pain medications, like super highly regulating on pain medications and stuff like that leads to more heroin use, because when you cut somebody off that's on pain medicine, they move to something else and they'll go underground to get whatever they need. And then you get heroin that's not regulated, and then it gets laced with fentanyl and whatever else. So, those are the biggest issues.
That is so true. See, these are all problems that like issues that we could be talking about, but instead we're only inundated with everything concerning race and police brutality and Black Lives Matter and race and racism, and syrup is racism, and racism again. And it's like, we have real issues that we could really be coming together to come with
and then I know we kind of mentioned it before we came on air, and it's kind of something that we can talk about here as well, as you're talking about the racism stuff, and we're talking about Black Lives Matters, and it's also something that we need to talk about, is that we need to separate. It's two things can be true at the same time. You can believe the sentiments that Black Lives Matters, because they do, and you can say it and everything like that.
Of course.
But it is not racist to disagree with the organization. That organization uses Black Lives Matter as a front for their Marxist policies, because their founders have said they are trained Marxists. They are trained Marxists. So so they use Black Lives Matter to say, well, if you criticize them, you're racist. And so you can't criticize even the organization, even though they're out there preaching Marxism and everything like that.
Exactly. That's why I did not approve of Black Lives Matter being called Black Lives Matter. I was not approving of Black people being on the front lines to take rubber bullets but I'm taking rubber bullets for the message, not the organization. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. Because now people are going to the streets, like that woman, Jessica Whitaker or something like that, a mother who said all lives matter, and she was shot and killed. Like, you cannot separate the two. I mean, we as individuals can separate the two. But the people who are out there being crazy, they're not separating the two. They're louder and they're more violent. do not even be associated with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because even if we do say all lives matter, it does still include Black lives, whether you like it or not. You trying to extra segregate yourself does not help the situation. That's why I was coming from it from that. Not you, like I'm talking to the people and assuming there's Black people watching, but that's why I was against it. Do not let them use your image for a communist. You are nothing but Black Lives Matter is nothing but political blackface for the communist movement. They have been planning this since the 1950s and since the 1960s. So if you read that book that I told you about, Color, Communism, and Common Sense, this is chapter 3 of Color, Communism, and Common Sense, where they used Marxist revolution to then go in and it's a free book online too. Just put the name, it's by Manning Johnson, and just type in PDF and you'll find it. You can print the whole thing out. 14 pages, front and back.
Oh, that's right.
Super short.
Now I remember it.
Like they've been planning this for the longest time. And if Black people, I saw this coming as soon as the Black Lives Matter was coming. They messed up Ferguson. They messed up Baltimore because when the police kicked police out, increasing crime went up. Like I think murders went up 3 consecutive years in a row. And I'm like, why are you doing this to your own community? You're being used as a pawn. Stop this.
Well,
but Black people are waking up to that, though.
Oh yeah. There's a lot more coming out, even more conservative, and everything like that. People don't want to hear that.
Even if they're not conservative, they're just coming out saying something is off. Something is off.
Something's going wrong.
Something's wrong.
Like we talked about last time, though, and part of it is, if like people like Al Sharpton and like, people that are all about the race, if there is no racism, they're out of a job. So they have to keep it. They have to keep it going. It's the same as the LGBT community. As soon as we got gay marriage, what happened? And then all of a sudden it's like, now the trans issue has to come full front. And now there's a lot of us fighting the same things. Yep,
you better preach. Yeah, they do not let these all-encompassing, all or nothing groups take you on. No, there's no such thing as all or nothing. You are an individual who has the right to make up their minds about each individual topic as they come. Do not let them take away your individual rights or your individual right to think for the massive group thing. Collectivism, that's what it is. Collectivism versus individualism. And I saw this coming like back in 2015, 16, and I was like, when I saw people like blocking in college, protesting everything. They're not allowing speakers to speak at college campuses. They're blocking. And I was like, nobody sees this? Am I the only one watching this? Does nobody see this? And then it kept growing to the Berkeley riots, and Berkeley riot exploded when Milo Yiannopoulos and Ben Shapiro wanted to speak, and it was like and I'm like, am I the only one watching this right now? So what's going to happen when they get out in the real world? Now they're tearing down statues. They're ripping down statues. They're beating up people who are praying in front of the statue. Like, no. What do you think is going to happen?
Well,
like, what do you think? Like, do you think it's going to end up being like a civil war? I'm hoping to be out of this state by that time.
I don't see that happening yet. I don't know what's going to happen though. I think right now what we're seeing is child's play, because like
child's play.
When it comes to it's setting up 2020 to have the country burn if Trump gets reelected. I think if Trump gets reelected, it's not going to be the crying meltdown. It's going to be the riots in the street, which I think he's going to get reelected. So I don't know.
Your viewers, or you might hate me for this, but I'm hoping he gets reelected. I mean, you should know. You know from my Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Because and listen, people are like, well, how can such a horrible man? Listen? It's not like I know the guy. He ain't my bestie. I don't. You know what I mean? Like, he's not in my house. I don't see him every day. All I know is this: it's either him or you to continue burning stuff down, telling people they can't use, they can't say certain words or they canceled. Like complete Gestapo-like behavior, going around the streets, beating up cops, beating up people who don't say all Black Lives Matter. It's either that or Trump. And if that's the case, then I'll pick Trump. Listen, it is what it is. You did this. Not you, but the
Yeah, I
people
know.
out there, Black Lives, y'all did this. You did this. And there's so many people who are looking at this like, wow. So this is what Trump was fighting against. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't need to know what it is about, but it's either my grocery stores and bus routes are burned down or Trump.
Yeah.
It's either safety or Trump. He's the
Yeah.
only one willing to bring in the National Guard to put these kids who are burning down my stores. And Trump, what choice do I have? Is there even a choice? Is there even a choice?
Well, you can go with Joe Jorgensen, but
that name keeps coming up. I have no idea who he is.
she's the libertarian. Yeah, look her up. She's the Libertarian Party candidate for president.
Joe, what's her name? Joe
Jorgensen.
Jorgensen. How you spell it?
It's called J-O, and then it's Jorgensen.
Hey, is she the libertarian?
She's the libertarian candidate.
Well, here's the thing about her. She made me so sad. She made me as somebody who considers themselves to be a proud libertarian. Didn't she put a tweet or something that was like didn't she essentially back the Black Lives Matter thing? That's like, just because we need to be. I'm gonna find that tweet.
No, she did.
What are you doing?
It angered a lot of libertarians, but she clarified it later, and still a lot of libertarians.
She did?
Yeah, she did. Okay, because she said we can't. So basically, the quote was,
"Oh, she's pretty. Look at that glowing skin." But no,
and she's a doctor. She's a doctor, and also the only one that's probably not a pedophile. So, she's the only one that doesn't have sexual assault allegations going on. So Trump and Biden both had the sexual assault allegations, and then Trump and Epstein.
Yeah, that's something. I know people are trying so hard to put them together with pedophiles. I mean, Greg, I would say this. Joel's a little too touchy grabby for my liking, but I don't know if he's a. I don't know. I don't really. All these sexual allegation claims. I don't know if I maybe not either of them.
Yeah.
And this is me being
that's why I would say that too.
Impartial as possible.
Yeah.
For either, I don't believe. For me, I don't. I wait for more information. But even for Joe, I'm not willing to bring that.
Well, that's the thing is I'm not using it against him as much. It's just the allegations it's like, because you're innocent until proven guilty either way. So
in public court of opinion,
and I just it's funny watching, when he had the allegations, that person had more credibility and more evidence than they had against Brett Kavanaugh. And they basically erased her from the media. But so so Joe's that tweet that you're talking about, it basically said, we can't be passively against racism. We have to be actively against racism, and people didn't like that.
I didn't either.
I took it.
What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Passively, actively. So what does it mean to be actively not racist? That's why Black Lives Matter became a thing, because they're trying to actively be not racist. That's why
and that's what it was.
The white leftist liberals are actively trying to be not racist. So they're going gung ho on Black Lives Matter thing. So I'm like, you want us to be like that? That's how I took it. So I'm like,
that's what that's the way that a lot of people took it. And then when she clarified it, it made a lot of sense, because she said, and because she used the hashtag Black Lives Matter, which was she shouldn't have done. But basically under the next, it took her a little bit to respond, but she said, by saying that Black Lives Matters, or being actively anti-racist, we need to enact these policies. We need to eliminate the war on drugs. And
I see it here.
And do all that stuff.
Yeah, I see. She says Black Lives Matter means in solidarity with a mourning Black community as we fight against to end qualified immunity, which you're talking about, police brutality, sentencing disparities, and the war on drugs. Not support of any organization by that name.
So basically, everything that we just talked about. And again, and I get that. But when people say that, I 100%. The problem is the people who are actually shooting and gunning down people on the streets are not. Are not. But because you're tweeting with Black Lives Matter,
It's like you are in, because
Yeah.
it's so entangled at that point. You can't
Yeah.
you can't unentangle it.
No, a lot of people, yeah,
But
because that's what it is.
but I get what you
A lot of
but I get what you're
people
saying.
saw her as pandering to the left,
Yeah,
which
I
that
did
makes
too.
sense. That, I mean, that's what the tweet really shows. Um, but then when you see, I mean, when she came out and clarified it,
Mm.
and people are like, well, why do we? And then people are like, I don't want to be, and you know, nobody should, a libertarian candidate shouldn't be calling to action like that. The people, other than come vote
Mm.
for me, you know, that's
Right,
how we are. But
yeah.
I took it
Because
as,
I agree with her 100%
yeah,
with what she said.
but I took it as the we, as in the collective campaign of we, like when we get into office type
Mm.
stuff. So
Oh,
yeah,
oh.
I think a lot of libertarians took it a
Mm.
little bit wrong, but that's, and here it is. So that's
Yeah.
where a lot of issues with the libertarians are as well, because it's all or nothing. Like one little mistake like that, there's so many people going, well, there goes my vote. It's all or
Well,
nothing, and that you're
so
never going to have
polarized.
you're never going to have your perfect candidate. So,
You're
and
never gonna you're never
she's the
gonna have a
most
perfect candidate.
libertarian,
Yes,
she's the
that's
most
true.
libertarian candidate I've, you know, I think there's ever been when it comes to running for president.
I want to
No.
know what plans she has for countering the actual Marxist communist threat we have now.
Yeah.
They have taken over streets in Seattle. I want to know what, because to me, that's the, as a woman, that's the most safety. Can I
Yep.
count on a safe, a woman was just shot. A woman
Yep.
was just shot. Who cares about the race that she was? She was a white woman, but it doesn't matter about the race. Because I have the same sentiment as that white woman that got shot was, which is all lives matter. Should I expect to be shot because of all, because I can't, because I won't say, because I will not say Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
If I have to choose between that and all lives matter, I will not. You can, and I'll put that on me. I won't put that on your show. That's on me. I will not say black, because I'm not for black supremacy. The image and the slogan is tarnished, even though I know what it means. And I'm for all lives mattering, as in Asians lives matter, Black lives matter, white lives matter, Native American lives matter, Hispanic lives matter. I'm for all of that. That's why I say all lives matter. But I'm for all that individually as well. But do I need to be worried and that I'm going to live in a country that if I don't bow down to the Black Lives Matter tag, then I can be fired from a job, that I can be killed on the streets, that I can, I need to know what her stance is on that. I don't see it except that tweet that she made. And I was like, oh, and then she tried to hurt. And then even the second part was, well, let me clarify. That don't mean nothing to me either. I mean, it's a good thing you did it, but I don't mean nothing to me either, because it's just like any random person on the streets trying to be like, no, I'm really an ally. Like, no, you're not, because here's what they stand for. Well, I'm not standing for the killing part. I'm standing for the message. But it's like, again,
but then don't support the organization.
Then what is your stance on how do we deal with the current Marxist atmosphere that we have? Because you don't see it on the news, but you know these riots are still happening, right? These civil unrest,
like I said,
cops,
I mean,
being in Atlanta, I know. You know, it's still happening.
Being in Atlanta, I know, because it's going on all the time.
Yeah. So that's why for me, I'm like, any all Black lives, anything, no, until we can get these people under control, and our statues, like they're burning down Mary statues, until we get that under control and they know their place in society now, then we could absolutely Black Lives Matter, Asian Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, Hispanic Lives Matter. I'll do all that. Yeah, of course. But we're not doing it.
Yeah, I definitely. So I'm gonna take that question, because I actually know I think it's the assistant director of communications for the Jorgensen campaign.
Yeah.
So hopefully maybe I can get her on the show one time, but I'll ask her what Joe's stance is on that and where she stands, to see if she'll address it.
On the Marxist communist part, on these people who are out here, not like, well, we do know a small certain group is among the peaceful protesters, and we just need to focus on if she gives me that and people are actually dying on the streets, I'm sorry. And again, I'm speaking from somebody who's was libertarian, because a conservative libertarian. No,
I think
no.
Yeah, and I think it's not even just the Black Lives Matter community. It's what she can do about Antifa, who has basically taken over a lot of that. So it's Antifa, and then there's another new
A new
Right?
group?
It's essentially like the Black Panthers were back in the day. Black Power group
Oh,
that
yes.
that's literally they're the ones
Mm-hmm.
with a lot of the guns and everything like that.
Yep.
Those are the ones that
Mm-hmm.
are rising up right now. So it's like Antifa who's doing a
Yeah.
lot of stuff. Where if you see
They're
it,
gonna
well,
team up.
you
They're
see a
gonna
lot of
team
these.
up.
Yep. Well, you see a lot of these Black Lives Matters protests, and it's all white people, and white people that want to tear down statues and do all that. It is funny with the statues though too, because I can't remember where it is and I think it's in a museum, but the statue of Margaret Sanger is still up in this museum. The founder of Planned Parenthood, and came here and set up Black Lives Matter, or set up Planned Parenthood,
Stop.
and 80% and 80% of the Planned Parenthood locations are in the Black community. And
Of
she was
course.
a known racist. She taught Hitler eugenics.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it
I
was.
read that too. I read
So
that too
so
somewhere. Yeah.
she
Oh
taught
yeah.
Hitler eugenics
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and started Planned Parenthood here to
And Hillary
basically,
Clinton was like, yeah, I admire her vision.
yeah,
I
yeah,
remember that.
yes, I do.
And Black people are like, yes, vote blue and Clinton. I'm like, wake up. You are
Yeah.
voting for your own death. Are
Yeah.
you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's crazy. But this is what I'm saying. This is why it's important to talk about ideas, because you, as a white person, know more about this and are speaking more pro-Black policies than actual I call them pro-wax, because they're the ones that are like pro-Black Hotep and Black supremacy, all that stuff, and
Yeah.
and we need to get rid. Like, you speaking more pro-Black policies than these
Yeah.
people are, and they're calling
yeah.
themselves woke.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that has racist undertones too, doesn't it? That started in the in the Black community, I think, as well. I can't remember.
Woke,
I just heard
yeah.
that this week.
I heard woke. Was it woke?
Yeah.
Oh, you just heard this week. That's been woke culture, woke being.
Well, I know.
Woke.
No,
That's
I
been
know
going for a while.
I know what woke means in terms of
Yeah.
what the left uses it as.
Yeah.
Especially, I call them the wokies.
Yeah, the woketivist.
Yeah, the woketivist. But
Mm-hmm.
started in the Black community, and it's
It did.
mostly
It was in a song.
moved.
It was in
Now
a
it's
song.
just okay.
Remember, stay woke. If you look up, start typing "stay woke." It's a song. I'll find it for you.
Yeah, I just found. I didn't know that that's where it
Childish
started.
Gambino.
Oh.
Childish Gambino.
I still thought it just started a year before that.
The song's called Redbone.
With just
Yeah.
I know what song you're talking about. The one where he shot Trump in the video, right?
I didn't see the video. I haven't seen it. I don't know. But I'm not
I thought
gonna
that
go.
was the video.
It probably is. I haven't seen it.
I think that's which one it was. I know what video you're talking. What it is. But I thought it started before that, just with social justice warriors. But I heard it started basically in the Black community before that.
Yeah.
So it's actually a very old term that was readopted to current culture.
Wow.
I'll have to look that up though, just to verify.
You're probably right. I don't know. I don't look up this.
If not, I'll edit this out.
Listen, I say you're right. Don't tell me twice. I believe it. I'm trying to stay as far away from the woke crowd as possible, because I just can't.
Oh my gosh.
I cannot. I can't.
I can't stand it. I can't
afford to be, but you're lucky. You can kind of disassociate yourself with it easier, because you're white. You can kind of be like, I don't know these people. Me, they assume that I am until I open my mouth. And like,
No. You're talking about being, in the Black community. I'm talking about, I get it from the LGBT community.
Oh, that's right.
Because it's the same thing. I get it from both sides from them, because as soon as I open my mouth, I'm called all sorts of names from a lot of the activists on that side. But then I also get it from the right, because they, it's all religious, like a lot of the religious right, like I call them the radical Christian right.
Yeah. Ignore them.
Because they're just like the radical left. It's the radical Christian right and the radical left, and they are
the left.
And they're just like,
yes, yeah. Just honestly, but here's the thing: believe it or not, I mean, it's up to you for you to tell me, because I don't know. I feel you'll definitely be safer on the right side
Oh yeah.
having your views, because we even have like Lady Maga, we have Blair
Oh
White, we have a
yeah.
lot of
Oh yeah.
prominent because even though we have like the crazy religious like
Oh
super
yeah.
the Westboro Baptist Church like
Oh
psychos,
yeah.
like we like, because again it's unfortunate, but we have to respect their opinion, not respect but
Yeah.
let them have their opinion, because that's what we stand for
Yeah. The
spiritually now.
alt-right
That
is
used
just
to
as
be the
bad. Yeah.
liberal thing. So we let them, I said, oh, okay, thanks, but no thanks, but
Yeah.
just keep, thanks for the fight. But
Yeah.
but over there on the left, they'll
Oh no
straight
no
up
no
kill
no.
you.
No,
Me too.
absolutely.
Me too, not
They'll
just
kill you
you.
too. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
No,
but
I
they're
agree.
wild. They're
Like I
wild.
always tell people, I grew up conservative. I was very conservative, even in college and stuff like that. So I'm not one of the ones that came from the left and came this direction. I was,
Already
yeah,
there.
I mean, I was there and actually moved more towards the liberty side than, you know,
Ooh.
so that's why I'm like, I don't consider myself a Republican or a conservative anymore, because I'm more libertarian based and more down on the
Yeah.
top to bottom scale. I think like the
Mm-hmm.
Republicans and Democrats for the most part are the same side or same different side of the same coin.
Yeah, that's true. And I agree. No, I agree with that. What you're saying makes sense.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm so glad we did this again. This is
I
awesome.
know this was really great. I don't. I mean, we can make this happen a whole lot more too. So just the monthly what's going on in the world.
Yes, I love that. The monthly what's going on with T. I love talking about politics. I love
Yeah.
this stuff. So if you guys want to have a talk with me, let me know for real this time.
Actually, so do you check your notifications on posts?
Yeah, the best way I was to get to me is I would say Instagram.
Okay.
Instagram in my messages. And it's
Okay.
at the same handle, RealWendyBelle. I think
Okay.
that's it, because in my Instagram right now, of all the 3 social media things I have, that's the one that I think I have cleared. Like, when you have like notifications, like 1, 2, I've cleared all of them.
Yeah.
So now when something comes up, it's like brand new. So Instagram right now, Instagram is the best way if you want to chat politics. I mean, it's the best way to do it right now. It's
You get a hold of
Instagram
you. Yeah, yeah.
DMs. Slide in my
That's your
DMs.
DMs.
I know, but I'm barely on it.
Yeah, but definitely we will keep this going.
Yeah.
I really want somebody from the left that can talk issues to come on and talk with us about this stuff as well, because
Yeah.
It's I mean, for me and you talking about this stuff, it's somewhat of an echo chamber, but when we need to actually have conversations with people and really start getting into the root causes like we talked about earlier, but we need to see what their
Different
views are.
voices.
What you have to, like, what when you say that, I have a good point, you need to see what the views are of how that person views what I just said, or what
Yeah.
you just said, and how you feel. And I don't like debates at all, so it would have to be somebody that can just kind of come on and talk and articulate their point and not want to jump all over each other and speaking and everything like that. So it's hard to find a lot of times these days.
I was gonna say, because you keep saying you don't like debates, but I'm like, debates, I mean, if they're like organized in the way, because I went to school in
yeah.
debates, I'm like, debates is the number one best way to have it happen the way you want it to. If it's a conversation, then it is jumping on each other. If it's a debate, then it's like, okay, you get 5 minutes for your beginning, you get 5 minutes, no interrupting. And then the points that this person made, you can respond. The points that this person made, you can respond.
Well, so like a debate like that,
how do you not like debates?
No, a debate like that. No, like a debate like that is good. So actually, that's true. I should start saying, because what I consider a discussion is not is respectful conversation. Because what ends up happening a lot of times in this culture is when you start getting into debates, you start, like I said, you start jumping, and then when somebody questions it, it turns into, people start to feel like they've been personally attacked, so then they go back and throw something personal, and then it just ruins all conversation. Everybody, and then we lose. We don't get what we need. So
Yeah, that's true.
Because, and that's
true,
the thing
yeah.
is, and that usually happens when people don't, understand the stats or have comebacks for stats, or when they get
Mm,
challenged, they want
yeah,
to go, they don't like being challenged. And that's part of
yeah.
the uh
Have you ever
the
seen
conversations
intelligence?
today.
Have you ever seen Intelligence Squared? I'm sorry to interrupt you. That was my bad.
No, no, no,
That's just terrible.
no.
If you go on YouTube, look up, go see if you can type in Intelligence Squared.
Mhm.
They have debate shows, and it's kind of like the format I feel like you would like. Like you would have
Oh
the
yeah,
rules. There's no personal attacks. There's
yeah.
no name calling, all that stuff. Everyone's given a motion ahead of time, like a
Hmm.
week before it happens. That way they can have plenty of time to do all the research that they want.
Yeah,
They'll find, because they'll be for a motion, they'll be
yeah.
against the motion, and then like I told you, like one person comes in, they have like, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes depending on the time to say here's why they're for the motion, they'll why the other person's against it, and then they sit down. And I don't know, I forgot what the format was, but then again, like the points that this person made, you can adjust those points. The points
Hmm.
that person made, you can adjust those points, and then keep going off of there. And then they take a vote at the end to see if it changed the audience's mind and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, it's something
I
that
think I
you
would.
look at.
You're right.
Intelligence Squared. Look it up. You'll feel like you'd like it.
I
That's something
will
I
write
plan
that
on
one
doing
down.
as well for something on my channel as well. I feel like the more we have them, the better. The more change my minds, the better.
Exactly. And that's why even when I started this network, I want people to come on here. I want people actually to have their own channels on this network as well, so that people can use this as a central point to get multiple views. As long as as
Mm,
long as people are the creators I have on here, I don't really have rules. It's just as long as they're, you know, maintaining common decency.
mm,
you
yes.
know.
You'll have that rule too, though. Once they start getting, that type of way, let's say they start like, probably you could be as the moderator, like, a point off. You started
Yeah.
that. No, you should not have gone after his mama like that. She's not part of this conversation. A
Yeah,
point
that's
minus
not
from the team.
happening. Yeah.
A point minus from the blue team. A point minus from the red team because you're talking about her wig. No,
Yeah.
that's not where we are.
Yeah, because I mean, I've looked at even some of the bigger channels, like when Blair White and Candace Owens debated on Dave Rubin's show. That turned into
That was a
chaos. That
that
turned
was a
into
hot
chaos.
mess. I was so shocked at both of them. I was like, what?
I know.
But mostly shocked at Candace Owens, I will say. Although, again, I'm still a fan of Candace. Mostly shocked at Candace because I'm like, what do you do? Let her finish a point.
Yeah.
Let her finish a statement, and
Yeah.
and like listen to what she, like, what's going on with
Yeah.
you? Like I
Well,
was like,
that that typically is how she
that was
debates, though.
a
She doesn't
that was
let
a
people finish. She doesn't let people finish their stuff. Now, that's. I mean, we talked about Candace Owens before too, and I think she makes points, and sometimes she makes points that are at the wrong time, or
yeah
and that's where she gets a
yeah
lot of heat, because even with the Black
yeah.
Lives Matter stuff, she was making these points a month ago, and people were like, going after her like they always do, but
Mm-hmm.
the wrong time to be making this, because Black Lives Matter hadn't started going back into their Marxist rhetoric and everything like that. So at that
Mm-hmm.
point, but she also, I mean, she said George Floyd and Rashard Brooks and stuff, they shouldn't be put on these pedestals. Yes, we can say the
I
police
agree with that.
brutality against. Oh
No,
yeah, well they shouldn't be. I mean, they were they
gold
were
car-
in criminal acts. They had records, but that's the whole thing is. But you can say that they shouldn't be put on this pedestal as like they're this martyr, but you can also say that, what happened, they should have, like George Floyd should have never been killed. That was
yeah,
murder, like we talked
she said
about.
that in the
Yeah,
video. She said
yeah,
that
but
in the
people don't
video.
listen to
Exactly,
that.
exactly,
People
exactly,
don't want to listen to what
exactly,
people actually say. They just want to. They
exactly.
read like what the topic is about, and they read some of it, and then they read it in their own words into what you're saying.
Or
Yeah.
worse, they read or listen to what other people have commented on it, and they're
Oh,
like, so basically what can it's like a weird game of
yeah.
like online tell. So what
Yep.
Candace Owens said was basically that George Floyd should have got shot in the head, and
Yeah.
I don't agree, and I'm like, She literally never said that. Like,
That
it's so,
never happened. Oh, people, yeah, because
yeah.
that's what that does happen a lot too. Because it is,
But people,
but that's the way that the left works, and the social justice warriors want it to be. For
yeah.
example, even with the J.K. Rowling stuff,
Oh, yeah.
my last video was on this, and it's like she came out with this whole page of stuff that she wrote, and one person posted, trans person posted on there, goes, just to save everybody from having to read it so you don't have this emotional trigger, here's what it said, and it was completely off. It was like, this is
Of
my take on
course.
it, and they didn't want,
You see
they
that?
were basically saying, do not read it, do not do your own research. I'm like, if I say something, go do your own research on it, because my stats might not be right. You know, you have to do that. Like, I don't even watch mainstream media anymore because
Me neither.
I literally I look at social media, see what some of the topics are, and I do like I see some of the articles that pop up in the feed and everything like that, and I go read, and then I go do actual research. And then you have debates like this, or you have conversations like this, like I said.
Debate that.
Debates. So you have debates like this, not like with this, but you have debates. And with that, and when you disagree with people on stuff, and it's civil disagreement, it gives you time to go, research, do more research. If you didn't know something, go, and then it either strengthens your arguments or you change it, and that's the way that I like to be. And so I don't trust anybody that's putting out any information. But nowadays people
that
are just
makes you smart.
Yeah, well, nowadays it's the headlines, because they know people aren't reading the articles. And the main point of the article that kind of discredits their articles usually are buried so far down in it that so they could say it was in there, but it was buried on page 34.
Or it's not. Did you see there was one article that she felt that was doing that? It was like Trump's lie that the mostly Democrat run states is poorly run. And then in the article, they're the ones that provided a chart showing
because
that it was mostly the blue states that were a hot mess. And people were like, what are you doing?
No, you're right. That's
doing?
A perfect example. Because it's because Trump said all these cities with the highest crime rates are Democrats, because he said all. There was one that was led by an independent and like one that was a Republican, and that was it. And then there was like 20 more that were Democrats.
Yeah, and they're like, it's false. So even if you were to, here's the thing for me, I'm thinking to myself, even if you wanted to fact check him, why wouldn't you provide a chart, a visual representation?
Oh yeah.
I would put like 2 seconds. It's like, that's not true. This state is not Republican. This state is not, and that's it. And that's done. I wouldn't have. You put a whole chart there. Blue, 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 blue. 2 things. And so people are like, I mean, it's basically all, isn't it? It's a hot.
It's like almost all, okay? Because he said all instead of almost all.
That's the hill you want to die on? News people.
Come on. That was like New York. That was like the New York Times or something too.
I'm gonna need the New York. I'm gonna need the New York Slimes to do better. I'm gonna need the New York Slimes to do better. I need the Washington Compost to do better. I need everybody to get it together.
They all need
I need everybody to keep it snatched. I need everybody to wake up and keep it together.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because they're really out here making. Because even and you know what? I was so shook when I saw it, because I was like, I almost had to look at the chart again, because I was like, am I being tricked? Because it looked like it looked like it was mostly, but because it was so obvious, I had to be like, no, they didn't.
No.
So I was trying to find. I was trying to find. I was like, I'm missing something. Is this a puzzle? Is this a riddle? What is this? No, it is. Is this what I'm actually looking at right now? I thought it was reverse psychology. Like, these people.
I did the same thing. The same thing. I did it. I was like, are they really trying to go after the word? The one word.
And you wrote a whole article on it. Like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need
Like that's
I'm
what
gonna need
journal.
them.
That's some good investigative journalism
Oh
right there.
yeah, oh yeah. Good job. That's a nice waste of everybody's time. Thank you so much. So now the internet is dragging you for filth as they should.
Yep.
And you mad again. Like I don't
Oh man. Yeah. Oh yeah.
can't.
I mean, I don't like a lot of the president's attacks on the media just because, but he's Trump. I mean, he is who he is. A lot of what he says, it's like it's very anti or First Amendment, but you know what?
Yeah.
Then they bring it harder. I mean, the TDS is real. And
Oh, I love the attacks on the press because it's so funny.
Well,
so funny.
did you see the picture of the
no.
press corps at the White House whining? Somebody from the press corps at the White House whining because Trump's podium was in the shade on the front door of the White House lawn, and they were all sitting in the sun. I mean, he is trolling the media really hard, and it's like a back and forth troll job from the two.
And honestly, I never, because when he first started trolling the media, I was like, Trump, stop doing that. They're not that bad. Like, this when he first came out. I'm like, they're not even that bad. Stop. Why are you so mean? And literally like a week later.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
gosh.
Like he opened my eyes to how bad they were.
Yeah.
And I was like,
damn. Oh, and yeah, people are getting red pilled left and right because of the media. They're starting to be like, well, wait a second, you know?
Yeah, that's
right.
what you're saying is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are like, I'm talking about like real, like people who used to be real leftist, like,
yeah,
like the blue-haired feminist people are now making videos like, what the hell is going on? Like,
that's what you said earlier. Yeah, it's like, okay, wait a second. Like so that just hurts credibility, like articles like we talked about, like the other one.
Yep.
It just hurts your credibility so much, even if it's technically true, like what you're saying. It's so just blatant, and the headlines are even worse.
Yeah, like it's and I'm like, and I feel like I'm because I'm like in a blue state, so I'm like, if nobody sees this, am I the only one? Do you see this? Right? Do you see this? Nobody sees this. Okay, so so we just that's what we're doing. Okay.
Okay, I got it.
It's just getting worse, and I'm like, oh, so we're okay.
Okay, we're just ignoring that one now too. Okay.
Right, I guess so. So the only people you have are like your friends online who like you, who like get it, and it's just like, why can't you be my next door neighbor? Why can't you?
Well, you can move on down.
Atlanta, I'm trying to move down south too, but like Atlanta, no. I'm looking at Texas, Florida, someone's saying Arizona. I'm like, Arizona? I never thought about Arizona. I'm trying to get to these, but I want great gun laws. I want not a small town feel, but like, I like suburban feel, but I like to be able to drive into the city and like, go to like, like bars, nightlife. Like I love the nightlife thing. Like I want that. I want patriotism. I want a good Christian atmosphere. So find a nice church around there. If they can do a nice
Okay, everybody. I mean, I always call Atlanta a libertarian city for the most part because everybody carries a gun. Everybody has a gun. Everybody has guns.
My florist has a gun. You see Miss Congeniality?
I have a long time ago.
He had a gun. Of course he had a gun. Texas, everybody has a gun. My florist has a gun.
And then, like, if you're living like north of the city, like up, like Marietta, Sandy Springs area, like you get that small country feel. Like it's all like open.
Yes, I like that. I want that. I want it.
You don't want to be down in the city. I mean,
You see,
Midtown's nice,
and I
but
love the city. And
yeah,
I'm not gonna have these hood boogers ruling the city for me. I'm
this and
nice.
like okay.
Yes.
So I think that's basically it. Is
Yeah.
what do you what where can everybody find you? I can put everything in. I'll put everything in the comments below. What are you working
Mm,
on? Give everybody. Um, just give all your information. Promote your stuff.
okay, I'll try. What's up, everybody? You can find me on Twitter at same handle, RealWendyBelle, at RealWendyBelle. Same handle on Instagram at RealWendyBelle. Find me on Parlor at Real Wendy. I need to start posting more on Parlor.
I don't post much on there either right now.
I need to do it because there was a week where everybody was talking about Parlor. So
Yeah.
we need to put our money where our mouth is. I
Yeah.
think I'm also on All Social, which is like a different free version of Instagram. It's also
Okay.
at Real Wendy Belle. Um, and Facebook as this Wendy Bellevue, like think the Bellevue Hospital, Wendy Bellevue.
Okay.
And then that's it for now. But I feel like that when I start getting things up and running, my Instagram page, I had to I'm doing a revamp, so everything's pretty much been archived. I think I only have like 5 things posted now. I had a ton of stuff because it was just like I looked at my Instagram, it was just a bunch of memes, and it's like all over the place. So I'm trying to make it look like a coherent
Yeah.
message, like because I guess Instagram there's a
The
way of
algorithm,
doing
right?
Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a way of doing Instagram, so I have to learn all of that. So bear with me, but you can find me there. And on Twitter is where I really get hyped. Twitter's where
Yeah.
you find me.
Yeah, that's usually me
Twitter's
too.
where you find me. Yeah, but if you want me to do shows like this with you, find me on Instagram and message me and stuff. So
There we go. Okay.
sorry. Thanks,
Sounds
guys.
good. Thanks for joining in. I'll post my stuff below as well. You guys know where to find me. Just look in the comments. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.